Hey everyone, and welcome back to this week's edition of the Weekly Wrap-Up. I'm Brubaker.
And I'm Jessica Lee. On today's show, you'll be joining us in our conversation about this week's biggest headlines in the news. So we're going to begin with Biden sending missiles somewhere.
Yes, so we have some news, like you said, regarding the Russia-Ukraine war and America's increasing involvement. So President Biden has authorized or allowed Ukraine to use the long-range missiles that the U.S. has been supplied, or has supplied them. Previously, they were not allowed to use them far into Russian territory, but now they are.
That's crazy.
Yes.
And he's doing this right before he's about to push, what's it called?
He's about to hand over
his power to somebody else.
Yes.
I mean, I would do the same. I would take advantage of that situation and try to get as much done as possible, but
I could see that perspective, but I actually disagree with you on this one.
Really?
Yeah, because I think this is a terrible idea.
Oh.
Because previously, within the last week or so, Putin made it clear that he was more open to talking about maybe having a ceasefire or trying to work things out.
Yeah.
But this is only pushing to further escalate things. And I don't think that's a benefit for anybody.
Right. Well, he's going to do what he's going to do.
And actually, before we leave this story, I just read about something right before we came on, a few minutes ago.
Yeah.
And Russia just launched ICBMs at Ukraine, and ICBM stands for Intercontinental Ballistic Missiles. And that's not good. Those are big missiles that they're launching at Ukraine, and that was not happening
Who's
before.
doing that?
Russia is launching
Russia.
those. Yeah.
Come on, Russia.
So that's what I'm saying. It's escalating, and it's speculated that the allowing of these long-range missiles is what pushed Russia to do this. So my point is proven, basically.
Well, we'll see how that goes. But on to the next. Spirit Airlines did file for bankruptcy on Monday, and they will still be trying to reboot their whole system. So they're not completely giving up yet,
Mm-hmm.
but they said that they will keep on going with their flights and everything. You can still book flights with them. They just did file for bankruptcy, unfortunately.
And didn't they previously try to sell off their company to JetBlue or something like that, and it fell through?
They're just falling through all the way, and they are the biggest U.S. airline, budget airline.
Yeah, the biggest budget airline in the U.S.
Yes, and it was a Chapter 11 bankruptcy.
Have you ever flown with Spirit Airlines? Or?
No,
I have not either. But so there's going to be continuing in operation, though, even through the bankruptcy. Interesting.
I heard they're not a good airline, though.
I have no experience, but I can imagine a budget airline's probably not the bougiest airline.
Probably not. So,
Moving on.
Wait, I thought this was interesting because we did cover a story about the gang shooting the airplanes.
We did, and they were Spirit Airlines.
Yes,
it was
and
one
it
of
was
the planes that
Spirit
got shot,
Airlines.
so kind of a connection to last week.
Yep.
But moving on to
NBA youngboy.
NBA youngboy, yes.
Yes. So, he pleaded guilty in Utah for being involved in prescription drug something. What's it called? A fraud ring.
Mm-hmm.
So, NBA youngboy is originally from Louisiana, but he does own a multi-million-dollar home in Utah.
Interesting. Okay.
Which is where everything went down.
Yeah. And I heard that he was facing up to 46 charges, like you said, related to alleged crimes, and he pleaded guilty to 10 of those, some of which include multiple counts of identity fraud, forgery, and unlawful pharmacy conduct, which just means drug dealing, basically.
Yeah. So during his hearing on Monday, one of the judges mentioned that it was clear that he was a very talented young man, which I agree.
He is very talented.
Look at that smile. And he wished him good luck after he served his time.
I think it's 2 years, so not a super long time.
I don't know. I was trying to figure that out. It's so many charges you don't know.
Yes. And do you want to talk about, switching gears here, do you want to talk about the hurricane before we move on?
Yes, there's a hurricane.
Yes, there's a hurricane hitting the western part of the United States right now, and I have some notes here from our in-house weather girl, Reese Weatherman. She gave me some notes before we came on.
Unfortunately, she couldn't be here today with us.
She said that there are power outages. So far, the storm has killed 2 people officially, but there are some people missing, I believe, so they don't know the official. I know it is terrible. But it hit on Tuesday, and they're calling it the bomb cyclone.
Yeah,
and
crazy
the reason that they're calling that is because it occurred and intensified so rapidly. So that's the reason behind the name. And just like any other hurricane, it has high winds, like lots of rain, lots of power outages, and we have some pictures even from San Francisco. It got hit pretty hard as well. But yeah.
That's terrible.
I don't have too much more to say on this, but
going on with the weather.
It's a kind of interesting. This is the first time this year that a hurricane has hit not Florida, so.
Terrible.
All right.
So, going on with our usual programming, we
Yep.
have
a space story. Yep. We got to wrap it up with a space story. That's the rule. And on Tuesday, SpaceX launched their biggest ship, which is the Starship, and for another test flight. And if you remember from a few months ago, or at least not even a few months ago, last month, they had another test, the one where the rocket caught the booster. It was this booster.
Yeah.
This time around, though, they unfortunately weren't able to catch it.
And they splashed in the ocean.
That was the plan B. So if everything went like purposely or absolutely perfect and according to plan, they were going to try to catch it, but they had a couple issues and they're like, okay, they're just going to play it safe and have it land in the plan B area, which is in the Gulf of Mexico.
Was there anyone in there?
No.
Oh, good.
No, it was just a test flight. Yep, nothing too crazy, but I actually do have another thing that's not even on our script.
This is unscripted.
I know this is very unscripted today, but there's a meteor shower coming up here at the beginning of December.
And it's following like the supermoons.
Yeah, it is.
Yes.
So it should be pretty cool to see. I'm sure next week's weekly wrap-up will have a whole story dedicated to it and where to watch it. But yes.
Okay, well, that's all we have for today. Make sure you check out Inside Swoop on Facebook and on Instagram to find more details about these stories that we covered from our amazing team members.
Yes, and thank you for tuning into this week's edition of the Weekly Wrap-Up. I'm Hayes Brubaker.
And I'm Jessica Lee.
And we will see you next week.